Hi guys, welcome back to Mentour and yet another video podcast. As always, it's great to see you back. Really happy to see all of you guys, all of you new joiners to the channel. I hope you're enjoying the content so far. So, first of all, how did you like my new intro? It's done by a true magician when it comes to these areas. His name is Airlines, is one of my viewers and one of my friends. And I'm gonna link to his blog up here. So if you need someone to do a nice intro or for any commercial use or whatever, then have a look at his website and contact him for that. Okay, he's really talented. On today's podcast, guys, I'm going to talk about how to be a good first officer. What is expected from you, why you're employed, why you're sitting there in the first place, and how to deal with captains that might not be doing what they should be doing, and how you should be acting, basically. So it's some really good content in this podcast. Make sure that you stay tuned to the end because you don't want to miss anything in here. I promise you that. So, you have completed your training. Okay, you have done your multi-engine, your CPL, your ATPL theory, your instrument rating, and it's time for you to do your MCC course. Now, an MCC course, the reason you do an MCC course is that you need to learn how to work in a multi-pilot cockpit. How to deal with things with the other person there and how to, who does what, basically. Now, when you do an MCC course, I've mentioned that in previous podcasts as well, it might be a good idea to go to one of these brand schools to do it because you want that nice brand name into the CV, but also because they tend to be really good when it comes to doing these MCC courses. What you want to get out of a good MCC course is a realistic feeling for how it actually is in the cockpit. No matter how good they are, however, there is going to be one key ingredient missing, and that is the power ratio in the cockpit, because no matter how you do it, you're probably going to do this with another first officer. So it's going to be two first officers, one playing the role of the captain, the other playing the role of the first officer. This means that, and it's going to be the same for your type rating, by the way. So this means that the first time you will ever encounter this power ratio is when you're sitting in the cockpit, your first day of line training or your base training with a training captain, and you really feel the power ratio then. Is that going to be a problem? Well, in line training, probably not. The reason for that is that all the line training captains are really used to handling nervous cadets. They know that this is the first time that you're flying an airliner. They know that you have not gotten much training in this. So our actual job is to kind of enhance all of the things that we want you to be good at when you go out of line training. We are going to talk about CRM, we are going to teach you how to be assertive, and you are also going to be told a little bit about how to deal with captains out of line training. Now, most captains, when you get out of line training, are perfectly fine. They're going to be just like the training captains you flew with, but there are a few out there that you might need to handle a little bit differently, and that's what we're going to be covering next. So here is where your job as a first officer is going to start to be a little bit tricky. What I tell my first officers is when you get into these kind of situations, you need to be kind of like a chameleon. You need to be able to adapt to the situation, to the different captains. So you might have to fly slightly one way one day and slightly differently the other day. And the reason for that, obviously, is that you need to get a nice feeling in the cockpit. You kind of changing yourself slightly in order to provide the oil needed to get the machine to work smoothly. Because since every captain is different, and since some captains might be less standard or even less professional, I would say, than other captains, your job is, and it will always be, the reason that you have been employed in the first place is to make sure that the flight is done safely. In order to do that, you need to make sure that the cockpit's coordination, this MCC actually, is working, the CRM is working, and you can only do that by choosing the times when you need to put your foot down, because you might have to do that. Now, what I tell people is that you adapt, as in you will have a level. You say that I can let a situation go this far, but not further, okay? Which means that in the top bit, if the captain, for example, are not doing the call-outs correctly or the briefings correctly or anything like that, you can kind of let it slide, providing that you still think that the operation is safe. And that is in order to keep that nice feeling in the cockpit. But then, as you hit that line of what you feel is comfortable, what you are comfortable with, you are then going to have to speak up, okay? Because it is your job. The reason that you've been employed is to make sure that there's two of you. You're not supposed to only follow what the captain is doing. You have to actually speak up to make sure that there's not an error being made, because we do make errors. I make errors all the time. And I am really relying on my first officers to tell me when they see that I've made an error, so that I can pick it up and resume to safe flight, okay? Not like it's unsafe, it's just because we want to make sure that all errors are being captured. So it's your job to speak up. The way to do this is you kind of escalate the way that you do this depending on how severe you feel that the situation is. So let's say, for an example, that the captain is pilot flying and he or she is keeping the speed about 300 knots below flight level 100. Okay, we're supposed to be at 250 or below that, below flight level 100. So the way that I would approach that, if I was the first officer, is I would start with a question. So, Captain, do we have any speed limits here? Do we have any speed restrictions here? That might work, because it is a possibility that the captain has just missed what is going on. It can maybe focusing on something else, thinking of something else, and has just missed the fact that we've actually descended below 10,000 feet. A question would work great then, because he or she will then look and hopefully was, oh yes, absolutely, and start winding down the speed and get speed back. And you have now managed to assert your opinion without feeling like you're nitpicking, like you're telling the captain what to do. So by asking a question, you can get the job done without losing any CRM, right? And that's really important. So that's what I would tend to do. Formulate it as a question. Captain is flying much higher than you're comfortable with, then ask. So I'm a little bit new at this. Are we not getting a little bit high? By adding the I'm a little bit new at this, it means that you now telling him or her that educate me, tell me why you're being higher than I would have been. So you're still not kind of pushing their ego, you are asserting that you are new, so you want it to be explained, which is a much better way than just saying that you're high. Okay, you see that it's a subtle little different here, but it's crucial in the way that you have to deal with things when you actually get into the flight deck. So this is what I was talking about, common sense. You know, this is what you probably would do if you were flying with your best friend. You wouldn't want to scratch their ego if you can avoid it, but you still need to, since your job description is to make sure that the flight is being safe, you need to point out whatever you think is an error. Okay. And this also goes for the beginning of the flight. I tell all my first officers that when you're new, tell the captain that you're new in the pre-flight, because it will then give you a margin where you can go in and you can say pretty much everything you want, and the captain will know that you're new, so he or she will explain why they're doing things a certain way. Okay. Then, as the situation escalates, if the captain is not responding to what you're saying and they're still doing something that in your opinion is not safe, then you need to step up, then you need to be more clear. So you've tried this, didn't work, you go on, you say, Captain, I think our speed is too high, we should decelerate, we should slow down, we're getting too close, we should slow down. Okay. Now, if that doesn't work, you go to what's not the final resort, but which is close to the final resort, which is telling the captain straight out that you're not happy with the situation. Captain, I don't feel comfortable with this. I'm not happy with this. I think we should be doing X, Y, Z. Okay. Saying I'm not happy with this is a really clear signal. Most captains have been trained to really react to this. So if they hear that the co-pilot is not happy with it, they will try to resolve it in one way or another. They might still think that it's not right, so they might still explain it to you, but they have to do something. So using that phrase, I am not happy with this, is a very powerful tool. Use it when it's needed. And then once you've resolved the situation, then you can kind of ease it up by asking, oh, all right, I'm sorry about that, I didn't really understand what was going on, can you explain it to me? And you can still kind of save the CRM situation out of it, right? Now, That is how you deal with captains, no matter what it is. And you remember that you have to be professional in this. You can't get pissed off, because you will. You will fly with people that you don't like. You will fly with people which you just don't match with. But you have to be professional. So you should be flying and dealing with situations in exactly the same way, whether or not you're flying with morons or you're flying with your best friend. Okay, you need to be professional, right? Now, about preparing for command. Every first officer will have to prepare for the command, okay? It might take longer in some companies, it might take shorter time in some companies. I've talked about this in the previous podcast, you can have a look at that. But no matter what, it will come much quicker than you think. And that's really important to remember. No matter how long it takes, it will still come much quicker than you think it will. So I tell all my first officers, and we actually in my airline, we have a program that is telling the first officers what they should be studying during their way, even from a cadet stage up until it's time for command. So there is a structure in place. If it's not in your airline, you need to create that structure yourself. So you need to keep reading, not only for your recurrent checks that happens every 6 months, but you need to keep reading for your command, which is continue to keep ahead on your technical knowledge, your SOP knowledge, start reading Jeppesen supplement or Navtech supplement or whatever it is that you're using. Start reading the cabin crew instructions, the cabin crew manuals, to understand what they're doing, because you need to know that when it's time for you for your command. But the main thing here is just make sure that you are mentally prepared, that it will go quick. 3 years, if that's the minimum, and 3.5 years is about the minimum I've heard about, it's gonna go like that. And it's really, really easy to fall into the trap of being really comfortable. Sitting back in your right seat, once you've done 1,000 hours in the right seat, you'll feel really confident with the route network, the captains you're flying with. You will have seen quite a lot of situations, so you're going to be quite comfortable because you're sitting there, you're just operating the aircraft. The captain is the one who's taking all the decisions, and you can sit there and kind of scratch your tummy and feel really comfortable. Don't fall into that trap, because it will be really hard for you to get out of that kind of cushy sitting down situation into the preparation that you'll need for your command. It's much easier if you do continuously prepare yourself, read up a little bit. And also something that's really important when you start to get closer to your command is to evaluate how the captains are doing their job. As in, how do they take the decisions? Why do they take the decisions they do? Ask them. Ask them. So in that situation you did this. Why? Because I need to learn. And make little mental notes or even actual notes about the things that you think that captains did really good. But also make notes about how you think captains have been doing things when it didn't work out. Okay, because a line training captain once told me that all captains will be different. You will be a different captain than anyone else. So you can't emulate the way another captain has done things, right? You will not be able to do or be the same kind of captain as that captain that you really admire. But what you can do is you can avoid doing the things that you thought were bad. You can avoid all of the things that you've seen during your time as a first officer, where captains have been screaming at people or been mishandling things. That you can avoid. So you can always avoid that, and that is the way to become a good captain at the end, right? So remember that. The next thing I want to cover is the way that you look, your uniform, the way that you act, your attitude, okay? Remember that you look the part, okay? Make sure that you have your uniform, make sure that you keep all the parts of your uniform with you. Even if it's 35 degrees outside, I still make sure to take my uniform jacket, my complete uniform with me. You can take it off if it's needed, but I have it with me. Make it nice and neat and clean, okay? Because you need to look the part in order for the passengers to have confidence with you, in order for your colleagues to have confidence in you as well and to respect you. Look the part. Another one of my instructor friends actually told me when I was becoming an instructor that before you know what you're doing, you need to look like you know what you're doing. And that's actually, even though you will probably know what you're doing in the beginning, it's still a good advice. The less you know, the better you need to look. I still make sure that I try to look the best all the time, because it's really important. It's important because you want to give the general public a picture of yourself, the airline, but also your job as an airline pilot. You need to look the part. The other thing is your attitude. Now, I try to keep a positive attitude in all times, if it's possible. If you're not happy with something, then try to resolve it in a constructive way. So find out why you're not happy, solve that, okay? Don't let it go out over your colleagues or yourself. So don't complain about things that you can't do anything about. Just make sure that you're sorting it out and come to work with a positive and constructive and professional attitude. Okay, that's what we're expecting when we're hiring a first officer. We actually don't hire first officers, we hire prospective captains. So that's the way that we look at things when we do our recruitment, and I want you to be that coming captain. Okay, so I hope you like this. As always, I'm gonna actually ask you for a favor now. I am trying to improve the content on this channel, trying to improve all of the quality around it and stuff, but I need your help, guys. I need your help to help me to expand. And the only way to do this is if you find a video that you like, just share it on any social media that you know about, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Everything is really, really appreciated, okay? Because in order to cut through the noise of all of this media being uploaded onto YouTube, I'm gonna need you guys and your help, right? The other thing is I always ask you this, but I would like you to really answer on this one, is how do you like me to proceed? What would you like me to cover in the next coming videos? I won't be doing any in-flight videos because I need my employer's approval for doing that, and it's not likely to happen anytime soon. All right, so I'm going to try to get my hands on the simulator and do some technical videos, show you some more about how to do a setup, things like that. That is my goal. I'm going to try to do that. But in the meantime, is there any part of being a pilot life that you would like me to cover more? Would you like me to do more lifestyle videos? Would you like me to do more technical description videos? But I will be talking, I will be explaining things, okay? That's how this channel looks now and for the immediate future. If you haven't, make sure you subscribe, tell your friends about the channel, and I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.